It is Wednesday, the 31st and final day of August 2022. As the calendar prepares to move away from summer and towards the autumn, I'd also like to wish a happy first day of school to all of you school-age children that happen to be listening to this program. I'm sure there's tons of you. Isn't it great? The summer break has finally ended. You're filled with fear, trepidation, uh, or joy, excitement, all sort of balled up into one small human. And for you parents, that peace, quiet, and sanity that you once had in life has returned, but only for brief moments on weekdays. Yes, that bundle or bundles of joy that you just had to have, or you did so in order to fill some kind of self-created emptiness in your soul, or because you're one of those fucking weirdos that somehow thinks the human race needs more of something in your likeness, or you were guilted into it by members of your family because that's totally healthy and normal, right? Or, you just love kids. Yeah, the first day of school. Some of your kids probably hate, but would never say anything to you because you'd probably make them feel less than human by acknowledging their feelings. Suck it up, be a man, tough it up. You'll miss school when you grow up. It'll be fine, you'll make friends. Everybody else feels the same way. Sure thing, parent. The timing is great, though, as I will be talking about teachers today, along with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, Pakistan, telescopes, Cox, layoffs / LinkedIn, and 3 days worth of shitting. Hold on to your collective hats. That's all right here, right now, on episode 131 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, the most less than average podcast on the internet. With a host who's the smartest person in the room when he's the only one there. A continuing odyssey into mediocrity. Guaranteed to make you question your life choices and your own sanity. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right, what's up? How are you? Good? Good? Fucking yeah. Terrific. This is like the third or fourth time I've tried to record this particular segment, and I keep getting interrupted in a variety of different ways. But yeah, that's really not important. I don't know why I felt the need to throw that in there. I didn't. Somebody told me, again, that this occasionally sounds like I'm talking into a toilet. And, I'm kind of at a loss because the microphone costs $20. I think maybe 25. I'm not sure. However, it's my fifth microphone in 2.5 years. The broadcast palace here is a tad cavernous. Just a tad. I mean, it's full of shit, so it shouldn't be as echoey. It just is. I should get one of those foam screen things, like professional voiceover people do, and sit in it. You kind of put it in your desk, over it. I don't know. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm a bit congested, so I sound a little nasally today, which is probably going to be the second worst part of this podcast. The first being the actual content within said podcast. So with that, shall we begin? Yeah. So anyways, Yeah, teachers. I read some. The problem with spending all day on the internet is you read some really just disturbing and fucked up shit. And I'll get to that in a second. But I wrote down last week. Was it last week? It was probably, yeah, it had to have been either Sunday or Monday that I wrote it down in the old Google Keep Notes app. That I wrote, Tom Brady suddenly looks like a Hollywood actress. And of course, being the cutting edge content producer that I am, I was way ahead of the game here, and everybody started talking about it 2 days later. That he looks like he does not look good. That's probably the best way to put it. Like, as part of his sojourn to wherever the fuck him and his family went during that 11 to 12 days he was away from Buccaneers camp, he definitely had a needle pumped into his face. Now, what was in flowing through the needle, I don't know. But I mean, there's definitely some kind of toxin flowing around his bloodstream. I don't think it's a HGH or anything, but yeah, I mean, there's got to be some Botox going on because he looked plastic. His hair looked terrible, and I've never once said in my life that Tom Brady had terrible hair. His hair looked bad. His hair looked bad. His facial expressions didn't move, so it was probably just Botox or something. Or he just got straight up work done. But I mean, only 11 days. But of course, then it was talked about ad nauseum across all of the local sports radio programs during the week. And because I'm lazy and don't have an audience, what was the point of talking about it when I thought of it? Yeah, there isn't. Hey, hey, new episode of the pod just dropped. We're going to talk about Tom Brady's plastic face. Tune in, and I'd get 3 people. I would have beaten everyone to the punch because I'm pretty sure I thought of that before anyone else. That's probably not true, but that's what I'm going to stick with. So, of course, as we wrap up the NFL preseason, getting very close to the start of the year, I might do a not an episode NFL preview maybe next week. Maybe I'll have it come out next Thursday prior to the first game of the year because I'm sure everyone is just chomping at the bit to hear my hot lava football takes. I doubt it. That's total bullshit, but whatever. But I still might do it just because one, it's my show, and two, I find it fun, and that's what I'm looking for. Fun. I'm looking for fun. But around here, the big topic that has been just absolutely the dead horse now is beyond dead. It is literally a pile of guts. The blood is dried up. It's shriveled entrails at this point. That's what's happened to the dead horse of the Patriots don't have coordinators discussion on all of the various shows across the two sports shows and across all of social media, various podcasts. And look, here's something that I thought of. Bill Belichick is a winner, okay? He's a proven winner. The guy's won. That's an indisputable fact. Now, if you want to sit there and argue and say that it was because of this guy or that guy or whoever, fine. It's an argument I'm willing to have. But in the end, when you look up the coaching record, there's only one guy who's better than him, and it's Don Shula, and he played when, the average size of an offensive lineman was 140 pounds. So, quite frankly, he doesn't count. He counts. I'm being facetious. But Bill Belichick this year, in the way that he is working his staff, he's pared down his staff. It's not nearly as big as it normally is. And especially when you have a guy who is essentially your offensive coordinator, your play caller, and your offensive line coach is one person. And then your quarterback's coach and God knows whatever the fuck else Joe Judge is going to be doing, all rolled into one person. And it made me think, right? Do you think Bill Belichick likes control more than he likes winning? Think about this, okay? He knew that, Tom, well, I shouldn't say he knew. In his mind, Tom Brady was not going to be successful, or he was not going to be Tom Brady if he was anywhere else. This is in his mind. And this is pre Tom going to Tampa Bay, obviously. So the whole thing about, the Patriot way and Bill we trust, and this is how they do things around here. It was entirely a control based system where it was a dictatorship. You had one person in charge, and that was it. Even to some degree, the owner is beholden to him, right? So which does he like more? Does he just like being in control, or does he like winning? I would also venture a guess that in his mind, him being in control leads to winning. So this year, where he's just basically fucking around with everyone and doing this whole I'm not naming coordinators business, is a more sign where he is in control. He's controlling the media as well, because he's not going to let them dictate any of the narrative here. This is going to be entirely Bill. It's going to be his thing, and that's it. Now, I could be, and probably am, way off. At the same time, I have heard far more outlandish shit in the last 20 plus years with this guy and this team that this isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility, right? I don't think it is. And you're going to have people on one side of the coin who don't like the guy say, yeah, that's all he fucking cares about, blah, blah, blah. Look at this team, yada, yada, yada. And they'd probably, it'd be, I half agree with you. And then the other half, the in Bill we trust crowd, I half agree with you guys too. So the way that he's running things right now is peculiar. Probably the best way to put it. Honestly, I think he's getting off on everyone getting so butthurt about coordinators. I think he's thoroughly enjoying it at this point because he's done quite a bit of turnover on the team from last year to this year based on the roster that they now have. I think it was like 19 guys turned over from last year to this year. I think the defense will be good. I really do. The offense, I think, will get there. I believe in this quarterback. That's just me. I really do. I think he's a smart kid. But I think he's gonna be this kind of guy. He's not Tom Brady. So let's get that the fuck out the way. All right. We need to stop thinking about that. We need, the comparison that keeps coming up is Kirk Cousins. I don't want Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins is a loser. And Kirk Cousins, apparent what was the stat I heard the other day where he somehow is not good in games that don't start at 1 p.m. It's like, you can't have a fucking guy like that. What the fuck? Plus, he's always had big time weapons in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, Stefan Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Kyle Rudolph. I'm sure there was some other guys in there too, sprinkled around. I don't want Mac Jones to be a loser. I think he's a smart kid. I think it's going to take him a few years to get physically where he needs to be. So if he can be slightly better, if he can be better than Kirk Cousins, I'll be happy. And the team will be in good hands. But then in 3 years, Bill will decide not to sign him. It's not going to matter because next year he's probably going to draft a quarterback in the second round. It's going to start all this bullshit. And then the new media thing will, well, does Bill not trust Mac Jones? Because we've already seen that in Jimmy Garoppolo, who stinks. Yeah, that guy sucks. Anyways, okay, on to another boring topic that I am not at all qualified to talk about, and that is teaching. Yeah, exciting, huh? I read an article about like teaching shortages across the country, and how and part of the reason is because as I'm trying to find a job, and I just kind of look at general job listings, ton of teaching positions, a ton of them, math. I mean, basically every fucking school on the planet needs a math teacher. Why? Math blows. That's right. Fuck you, math. So there's a problem. In a lot of places, it's harder than others, and again, that kind of goes to what part of the country you're in, the school district, the tax rate, all kinds of bullshit that again I am not at all qualified to talk about, but because it's my program and I find it interesting. I find it interesting that when we were growing up, okay, so back in the 80s, you know, eh, how many times, it doesn't even have to be the 80s, I would imagine it'd be the 90s too, but how many times, you're sitting in a classroom when you're, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 to 12 years old. And the question comes, what do you want to be when you grow up? And how many people in that classroom said they wanted to be a teacher? I would say you know, it was a representable number of kids that said they wanted to be a teacher when they grew up. Want to be a teacher, want to be a teacher. Okay, cool. And nothing more really comes of it. But the idea is that, you sort of plant something in the head of these kids and you see where it goes. That sort of deal, right? Now, I am not of that particular age group any longer, but I'm very curious to know how many kids, if you were to poll them, would say that they wanted to be a teacher. Because I would venture a guess in numerous parts of the country that is not a desirable profession anymore. Where it used to be the kind of thing where you could, um, you know, live a normal life, pay your bills, do things, start a family, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's really the case anymore. It seems to be an overarching theme here over the course of this particular episode, and that's that poor people are getting fucked, and it's no more evident than in some of these school systems across the country. And it's funny because you see it again in different states, and the way that the country is set up, and it's all state driven, county, town, whatever. All these various school districts manage themselves, run themselves, and they get to decide different things. For example, the curriculum is all managed at a district level. Pay managed at a district level, even in some cases state level. If you look at, for example, the state of Arizona, which has one of the three lowest average teacher salaries in the country, they're completely and totally fucked. Where they and along with numerous other states are planning to go to a 4-day school week. Like that doesn't even I can't even fathom that. But of course, math teachers, you're not going to find fucking math teachers anywhere. I said that. So what do you do? Well, it's like, oh, maybe we should raise salaries. Well, in some cases, sure. In Arizona, though, they've just passed a law that makes it easier for aspiring teachers to gain work experience without actually graduating from college. Makes perfect sense, right? And then in Florida, for some reason, military veterans can be granted temporary teaching certificates. What? How does that make any fucking sense to you? Florida. But then again, it's Florida. New Mexico, Colorado, Oregon, Idaho, South Dakota, and Texas. All common for 4-day schedules. It's insane. What do you do? What's the problem? What's the solution? I think the solution would be some sort of national, uh, not curriculum, because you don't want that. Because I think you start wading into particular issues, right? I think what you should do is eliminate. If you go to public school, parents don't have any say in what the fuck's going on. I read another story about a guy in Maine whose, it seems, entire existence is to just harass school boards because of all this. They're all afraid of trans people and afraid of black people. So they go to every fucking school board meeting that they can and just start shit. One guy is a literal convicted pedophile. And a friend of his is saying that he's been saved by Jesus Christ, so he's okay now. Like, oh. Why would a teacher want to fucking deal with that crap? Because, again, at first it was just being paid like crap. And the people that love teaching could just tolerate it and love it. But now it seems every parent, not every parent, a lot of parents seem to think they're more qualified than the teachers. And in some cases, they might be correct, depending on the state that you live. But the sheer volume of school boards spending time on made up bullshit like CRT and giving a shit about what sex a kid wants to be than actually caring about a curriculum. Nostradamus ain't got shit on Mike Judge because idiocracy is coming true so fucking fast. Because the country's literally going to get dumber as time goes on. Literally dumber. Dumber, poorer, fatter. That's exactly what they want. Whoever they are, that's what they want. And I feel bad for teachers. And it's like, why would you choose to put up with that shit? And again, it really is a depend on where you live kind of a situation. Because in some places, there is no teacher shortage. And if you look at a map, you could probably point to the ones that have the problem, and you can point to the ones that don't. There's always a shortage of math teachers because, again, math sucks. So fuck math. Unless if you're a math teacher and you're listening to this for some weird reason, thank you. Thank you for being a math teacher, but still, fuck math. I have like two more. No, just one more segment of serious, unfunny whining, which really makes the show, right? It's funny because when you finish these things, you're like, oh, okay. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. When I finish like the prep, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not bad. And then when I'm actually, doing it, it's like, oh, that's fucking awful. That's not entertaining at all, David. But what can you do? These are things that I feel strongly about, so I'm going to talk about it. So, since the last episode, there have been a handful of layoffs throughout the country, including at my former employer. Who laid off 900 people for a number of different reasons. One is they can't get out of their own fucking way, but that's neither here nor there. And then there's some other companies that have laid people off. But the problem with mass layoffs is that it creates way too much I don't want to say bullshit because I don't think that's it. But the posting by both the people that were laid off, the people that I shouldn't say both, it's all the people that were laid off, the people that weren't laid off, and then the people who really had no affiliation with either, but feel the need to just jump onto the trend for clout all over LinkedIn. It's fucking stupid. The worst of them are the people that were laid off. And there's nothing that gets me angry or that really fucking drives me crazy, right? Are the ones where it's like a glowing post layoff post, right? Post layoff post. I just realized that that's what that was. Wow, Dave, that's fucking stupid. Where it's like, oh, I was part of the mass layoff, and I'm so sad. But in the 2 months that I worked there, I learned so much and made so many great friends. It's like, wait, 2 months, and you're not saying I want to burn the fucking place down? Do people not get pissed off about losing their jobs anymore? What the fuck happened? 2 months? You don't even get to learn everybody's fucking name, but you're just gonna sit there and tell me that it's fine? Sure, a severance is nice. Don't get me wrong, but that's the least that they owe you. There was one about a girl in Europe, right? This poor thing came from, I think she either came from Korea or China. I can't remember what. It took her however long to get the visa situation straightened out. I think she said 4 months from the time that she like applied and got hired to the time she actually showed up to start work. It was about 4 months because that's how long the visa process took. And then she had to pick up and move to this new country to start work. So she starts. It's her first day. She's going through orientation. Next day, laid off. I was like, whoa, whoa. And her post was very similar, like super calm, collected. Now look, it's not going to do you any favors if you rip the company in a public LinkedIn post. It's not going to help you. I get that. So don't sit there and say, "Well, why would you do it?" I understand. But I think you'd be better off saying nothing at all. Because even like a passive aggressive post, which I don't really think this was intentionally passive aggressive, but it was because I mean, she threw shade for sure. And just getting angry in general is not going to really help you in the long run, but you're just letting them off the hook. Like they fucked up. They can't properly allocate funds or figure shit out. They spend way too much fucking money on advertising. They overhire, no clear path to profitability. But you're the one happy for the opportunity? Come on now. Come on. Spare me the bullshit, right? Because now you have to fucking try to find another job, and it's a pain in the balls. It's a pain in the fucking gigantic balls. Gi- a pain in the gigantic balls. Man, and then there's the people that work for the company that had the layoff, but they weren't affected. They're the ones feeling, and in some cases, look, if your entire department is sort of gutted and you were left standing, okay, well, then you feel bad. Fine. But again, you're so much better off saying nothing. Like, reach out to the individual people that you know, extend your apologies, and say to them, hey, if there's anything you need, I'm here for you, that kind of a thing. But the worst, not the worst was the first one, but the next worst was, you're seeing people who like used to work for the company, okay? Oh, I used to work there, so I know what it's like. You should come over here where it's much better. Why didn't you say that 2 weeks ago? Why didn't you post that a month ago? Why are you doing this now? Why are you taking advantage of the misfortune of all these people? Why are you doing that? Don't do that. Fucking, I'm about to say something that I shouldn't be saying, but fucking be an adult. And then there's the recruiters. Oh, if you're looking for a job, okay. So monetary gain for you, under the guise of helping all these helpless people that just got laid off. Stop. Just stay off LinkedIn as a whole. Man, I am on there because I have to be. But good fucking gravy. It is just such a phony shithole pain in the balls. And it drives me nuts. Like, just stop, please. I beg of you, stop. Lots of segments, lots of terrible musical interludes. All right, good news. I have two voicemails. So, on to the voicemails.
Hey, this is Officer Jackson, Fairbanks County Police. I'd just like to report a kind of a tricky situation we had down here. It indirectly involved your podcast. I can explain here. So there were two vehicles involved. We had a tiny red pickup truck. It looked like it was standard. Gentleman couldn't seem to handle a Shifton, but he said it was cheap enough, so we bought it. The other vehicle was an Aztec. I hadn't seen one of those since Walter White. It cheered me up for a tick or two there. And then, anyway, one guy bumped into the other here and said, well, it was because he was trying to call into your podcast. He had his AirPods in and he wanted to call in. Now, he was in the middle of that when he heard you complaining about AirPods, so he got a little angry, a little ticked off, so he sped up a bit. Anyway, he ended up running into the Aztec and caused the accident. A gentleman in the tiny red pickup truck, which was standard shift, he couldn't seem to handle it, said it was cheap enough, so he bought it. Well, they ended up getting into an argument. One thing led to another, and they just started punching each other in the face. And I'd just like you to know that your podcast out here is doing really well. It's really getting people motivated, maybe not in the best way, but it's really getting people motivated. So don't be so down on yourself. I've listened to a few minutes of it as I was on the toilet, like Chuck Berry was, Johnny Be Good. Anyway, you have a good day. Keep it up. Keep it up. You may not have a lot of listeners, but it does have a considerable impact out there.
Amazing. Need to thank Officer Jackson for calling in and alerting me, to the issue here. So, couple things to unpack. The officer mentioned a couple things, a couple of details that should be mentioned. First, the tiny red pickup truck that was a standard, and then he mentioned that he couldn't handle it, but it was cheap enough, so he bought it. From what I understand, the driver of the car figured it out and was able to handle it just fine. It's just that, hey, it was cheap enough, so he bought it. Also, the Aztec, a fine motor vehicle, the Aztec, the kind of thing that you buy on a whim, not a whim, but you buy for the laughs. So, terribly sorry to to the driver, for everybody involved, really. And the driver was trying to call in about the AirPods complaint. And look, he's probably one of those people that has his fucking AirPods in all the time. And I bet Chuck Berry probably would have done it too, even when he was sitting on the toilet. So, seems that the considerable impact that we're having down in Fairbanks County is terrific. I'm thrilled. So, to everyone in Fairbanks County, I appreciate it. Just, stop getting in fights and using your AirPods.
Hey, Dave. Donnie calling in. Wanted to bring up a complaint that happened a couple weeks ago. It's kind of a two-part complaint. So I just came into the clubhouse at Braintree Country Club on a, low 80s day to this guy freaking out on the pro shop guy saying how the cart girls aren't coming around enough for him and how he wants like a free 9-hole round comp for him. Fuck you, dude. Like, dude, it's like this girl's getting paid like what, 10, 12 bucks an hour or something in high school, like, just to service you beers. Go fuck yourself. Part two, have you ever been in a scenario like when you're golfing and you just have one like guy who takes it too far with the cart girl? I think that's the most uncomfortable scenario in the world. Like, you think you have a shot with this girl? Like, I mean, yeah, she's like working for tips and everything, so she's being nice, but like, you actually think you have a shot with her? I don't know. Like, fortunately, it hasn't happened to me in a while, but I know it's a common thing. Wanted to hear your take on it. Ta-ta. Take care, Dave.
Oh man, Donnie, thank you as always. First and foremost, I find people that complain at golf courses to be somewhat insufferable because, as someone who is a proficient complainer, you really got to know your spots. Okay, you got to pick them out. You got to know when to complain, and you have to know what to complain about. I'm curious as to what time of day this was, or what day of the week, um, because I rarely see cart girls, out on a course if it's not a tournament of some kind. I'm I'm sure there's been a couple places that I've been to where, a cart girl will show up on a weekend, but it's never during the week. So I'm going to assume this was a weekend. And Braintree Country Club, I like Braintree, nice course. Um, but for this guy to fucking want a free round of golf because this girl was out serving drinks to other people, I really, really hope that the guy in the pro shop just told this dude to straight fuck off. What an entitled fuck. Man. Now, the real meat of the call was part two, where, you have one guy who takes it too far with the cart girl. That happens. I would imagine that if oh, see, now oh boy, if you or anyone you know is or has been a cart girl, please let me interview you. I need to know, I need some dirt because my guess is that these fucking poor kids are just like, I mean, they probably take and put up with way more bullshit than just about any sort of service industry person you could think of, right? Like way worse than a fucking waitress because, the waitress could be like, "Oh, this guy's being a fuck," like, dump arsenic in his food. I don't know. But I would venture a guess that there is just no job worse for a young woman than being a fucking cart girl at a golf course. Because you think about it, right? A bunch of drunk dudes thinking that they somehow are entitled to be pricks, which most drunk dudes are anyway. But then they're, oh man, God, that is just, it's the fucking worst. It's the worst. Donnie was so right. And that, God, what a fucking awful job. I hope they make more than 10 to 12 bucks an hour and then make tips on top of that because that's really uh, to actually have to put up with that shit. And I look, 75 to 85% of the people that they encounter perfectly fine. But it's going to be that 10 to 15% or 15 to 25% they're going to ruin it for everybody. And it's not even like the purposely over the top shitty person, because there's going to be all the subtlety, all the just innuendo. Oh, they probably have to put up with so much fucking shit. Honestly, what a fucking conversation that would be. I'm gonna have to do some digging because now I need to just ask questions about that. Like, oh God, it's fucking terrible. Oh, One time we were playing at Souther's Marsh in Plymouth, like an impromptu tournament. It wasn't a charitable thing, which is a thing that friend of a friend of a friend put together. And we're playing, and there's a cart girl there, and my buddy Steve, we fucking rip him all the time for this. It's pretty funny. It's funny to us. Probably won't be funny to anybody else, but where he's basically lounging on a hill, like talking to this poor girl. So you're in college? I told the story way wrong, but I don't want to embarrass the poor guy, even though he would never listen to the show. Not the point. He wasn't, he wasn't being a prick. You know what I mean? He was just kind of making conversation, but it ends up sounding like he was a prick. This kind of goes back to what I said before, where it was the completely accidental, nothing egregious, nothing terrible. It just comes off that way because probably in this girl's mind, every other fucking dude that she's talked to has been a giant prick. So this guy's probably a prick too. But they're never going to say it. They're never going to say, hey, you're being a fucking prick. Because you don't fucking know. Who the fuck knows? These dudes could fucking fly off the handle because that's what dudes do. Oh man, what a fascinating conversation. So yeah, if you or anyone you know is a is a card girl, I'd love to have you on the show to just ask you about what the fuck goes on there, because I can't imagine it's anything good. And I hope you're well compensated for it. So yeah. Thank you to Officer Jackson. Thank you to Donnie. Greatly appreciate it. Love those voicemails. Keep calling in. 617-657-4736. Would love to hear from each and every one of you. So I would have 4 voicemails a day. Just for the sake of full transparency, as we get to the end of the program, the part that everyone loves, 3 gripes. I actually took a segment out of the show. It's the first time I've ever done that, where I've recorded something and then taken it out. And I did a bit on Pakistan and the flooding and just the awful catastrophe that is going on in Pakistan. And I went back and I listened to it. It was about 8 minutes long, 9 minutes long. And I'm like, boy, this is just not. It's one again, and I've said this 1,000 times. It's one thing to not be entertaining because I'm not. It's another thing to be not entertaining and totally and completely boring. It's a worthwhile topic that, if you want to do your own research, please, I ask you nicely to take a look at it and see what's going on in Pakistan. It's fucked up. It's awful, and I feel so bad for those people. But it was just 9 minutes of like, what are you doing? And I always say, hey, I'm going to talk about something that I'm not at all qualified to talk about. I was not at all qualified to talk about this, like times a bazillion. And it just came off, I don't know, I didn't care for it. So I took it out. And it's the first time in 2+ years that I've ever gone back and removed a segment from the show. Anywho, I just felt the need to share that. Why? I don't know, but I did. All right. As I mentioned, seeing as it is Wednesday, it is time for 3 gripes. Gripe number 1, food poisoning. So this kind of goes back to the intro when I said 3 days of shitting. Well, I've never really suffered from like legitimate food poisoning until this weekend. Saturday night, went to a new spot that thoroughly enjoyed. Great place. The atmosphere was nice. The place itself was nice. Some of the food was good. Some of the food turns out wasn't. I ordered fish and chips. Now, I've been on a big fish and chips kick recently. I've been getting it pretty much everywhere, have not had this issue. But it was the only thing out of the ordinary that I ate between Friday and Saturday. And so while I was a bit hungover on Sunday, it's everything that was on top of the hangover that was the problem. Sunday night is when I really started to feel it, where spending a ton of time on the toilet and you're getting a touch of a fever, your temperature's a bit up. But it was Monday where the awful abdominal pain that is associated with food poisoning struck. Let me tell you something, folks. It's violent. It was just between Sunday night, Monday morning, overnight, most of the day on Monday, the gallon of Pepto-Bismol that I took on Monday afternoon to try and go play golf. I made it through golf. So it was about 2.5 hours, 9 holes. I get back. And it just kept going. So it didn't really stop until Tuesday, sort of early afternoon. And quite frankly, I mean, I'm still a little wobbly, meaning I'm hesitant. I ate leftovers today, and I'm kind of concerned. Like, okay, was that a good move? But listen, food poisoning fucking sucks. So it was really the first time where it's food poisoning by the pain in your stomach. It's not your standard upset stomach. It's that lower abdominal pain where it's like it's pain. And so, there's nothing and the worst part about it is you're on the can all the time. And now you're getting dehydrated as fuck. So I'd say, okay, what do? Gatorade, or Powerade, water, or liquid IV. Thankfully, I have a bunch of those. So I had, some liquid IV to kind of balance out all the water I was losing, and trying to put in as much water as I could. But holy shit, man, that was fucking terrible. And I just felt the need to share. I'm fairly certain I fucking put a hole in the porcelain. That's how bad this I almost said this shit was, but that's too literal. Literal Dave. Gripe number 2, the James Webb Telescope. If you are familiar with the James Webb Telescope, then I don't want to say you're going to, appreciate this gripe, because you probably won't. Now, this is not really a knock on the telescope itself, because it's an inanimate object and it's floating in space. But some of the fucking pictures this thing is pumping out on the regular are just obscene. Like, there was one yesterday of like this spirally. It looked like a tie-dye T-shirt almost, and apparently there was like 10 billion planets in this picture. It's like, what do we need that for? What is the point? Like, so the pictures the other day that came out prior to that of Jupiter, like really in-depth, variety of lighting, pictures of Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter, it's relatively close. It's just, you're just waiting for the day where this thing is going to find something that it wasn't really supposed to find. I know that's very sci-fi-ish of me, and that's typically not my bag, but I liked my distant galaxy pictures to be slightly blurry and mysterious, and that's what the Hubble was all about. That's why I'm a Hubble guy. What a fucking stupid, dorky ass T-shirt that would be. I'm a Hubble guy. Making myself laugh over telescope jokes. But it's just too fucking good. It's too good. And there's so much shit that's coming out of this thing. Like, where's all the stuff that they're not showing us? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Yep. That's 2 weeks in a row now where I've yawned mid-show. I just got done making a great telescope joke. And my body was just like, wow, that's fucking boring. Gripe number 3. These phony, hey, vote now to give this thing a name polls that you see on the internet. For close to a decade now, we have been inundated with random stories about internet voting gone wrong. There was the Mountain Dew naming campaign where they, came up with names to vote for a new flavor. And at one point, the internet had chosen the name Hitler Did Nothing Wrong. It's like, okay, that's probably not right. But you left it in the hands of the internet. That's going to happen. Around the same time, there was Taylor Swift, who decided she was going to collaborate with VH1. Remember VH1? Yeah. VH1 to do a concert, a televised concert, sponsored by Papa John's, of all things. And they left that, they left it up to a vote. Well, the internet got a hold of that, and the winning school, was it school? I don't know what the. Okay, I think that was part of the deal. That it was going to be at a school. Well, anyways, the school that won was the Horace Mann School for the Deaf in Boston. And then, of course, there was the classic Bodie McBoatface, which was an English research vessel. And the British government left it up to the people to decide. And the clear frontrunner was Bodie McBoatface. Not sure why that was super funny, but still. Well, it struck again, this time in South Carolina, where the mascot, the live mascot for the South Carolina Gamecocks, needed a new name. Apparently, the stupid previous name, Sir Big Spur, was a problem because there was a disagreement between the previous owners of the cock and the new owners of the cock, or current owners of the cock. And apparently, Sir Big Spur was a trademarked name from the old owners. Well, there was an issue with the actual comb on its head, the feathers on its head. One group wanted to trim them, the other group didn't. Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. So the new group's like, okay, well, we need a new name. So the state, South Carolina, and the school decided they were going to hold an online poll. Well, it turns out that the name Cock Commander was the runaway leader of this poll. I thought this was just like a funny gag. Somebody put Cock Commander. Apparently, there's a very long history behind this, and it's been around since 2004. The student newspaper in South Carolina had a picture of the mascot, not the live mascot, but the mascot. It said, quote, "I am the Cock Commander. All other cocks must bow before the Cock Commander. Yo soy el Cock Commander," end quote. A blatant ripoff of the Clit Commander from Jay and Silent Bob. But funny, Cock Commander, funny. And in relation to the Gamecocks of South Carolina, it fitting. So here's my problem, right? You can't fucking do this shit anymore. You can't do it. You want to know why? Because the internet will fucking win every single time. You cannot let the internet fucking run wild with anything because they will kill you. That's just what the internet does. The internet is terrible. And so, despite your best intentions to have a cutesy little contest, it's not going to work. It is never going to work. You're just going to look stupid, and you're going to end up with something just as dumb. And you're going to have to call your fucking Gamecock now, like the General, which is what is the name that they're going with now, the General. You're paying homage to Thomas Sumter. I'm sure you are. You just don't want to call the goddamn thing Cock Commander. But look, it's another example in a long line of examples of stupidity. Don't be stupid, because you should know by now. You should know. Anytime you leave things up to the internet, it's going to bite you in the ass. So don't do it. And that is all for the show. That's 2 consecutive boring, terrible episodes. So if you made it through the whole thing, you're a brave person. You're better than I, because I, as I said, deleted a section of the program. But I'll put that out there again. Let me ask you this, okay? As Donnie mentioned, have you ever been an asshole to a cart girl? 617-657-4736. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you did, and then tell me why you did it. And now tell me, how bad do you feel for doing it? You fucking asshole. I don't know. But if you have a cart girl story, I'd love to hear from you. If you or someone you know is a cart girl, I'd love to have her on the show to talk about her experiences on the golf course with assholes. Because I'm sure it's fucking fascinating. You can let me know via any of my wonderful social media channels, at ComplainsPod on Twitter or on Instagram. My Twitter page is not bad. It's not. It makes me laugh. And granted, it's just me. So if it makes me laugh, it's probably not funny. But I enjoy it. At ComplainsPod on Instagram. I have a Facebook page, but fuck Facebook. I have a YouTube page that I don't do anything with. I have a Twitch channel that I can't figure out. I have a TikTok page at Complaints Talk that, again, I have a good idea. I'm just too lazy to do it. But call the voicemail line, 617-657-4736. What else? Is that it? That might be it. I think that's it. Yeah. All right. So probably see you next week. Talk to you next week. Check out the NFL season preview when that comes out, which I'm sure, I say I'm sure, but who knows if I'm actually going to do it. If you want to call in with give me a prediction for the Patriots, Super Bowl predictions, anything like that, 617-657-4736. Feel free, call in. Let me know what's up. Let me know what you think. But that's it. As always, please tell your friends, tell your moms, take care of each other. Fuck. You stupid idiot. Fuck. Take care of yourself first and foremost, and then take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.
I am without speech. I am speechless.